Welcome to Around the Reel with your hosts Aaron Carlson and Charles Lawson. Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
All right, well, here we are, guys. Hey, Chuck. How you doing?
Hey, Aaron.
How's it going today?
Well, I've been up for 8 hours, and it's like 11 o'clock, so how are you?
I'm just waking up. I haven't eaten breakfast or anything, but that's okay. I had coffee. I peed a lot. A lot of pee.
Why did you pee so much?
Because of the coffee. But I was actually excited. That's what we were just talking about before the show here.
Why are you so excited?
Because we were starting a podcast today.
You know what? I think the most awkward thing when it comes to doing this podcast is how to set it up. You know, we're sitting here, since obviously we don't have video to go with this, we're sitting here across from each other on a or actually it's a couch table, so it's about a 5-foot long table, and we're both sitting here with our hands on our hips because we don't know what to do with ourselves. It's like when we first started acting. You never, when you're first acting, you don't know what to do with your hands.
Sure.
So right now I'm like, okay, I've got to sit close to the microphone. We don't have any high-tech microphones yet that we can swing the arms in front of us so we can sit comfortably.
Correct.
So we're just kind of mounted on a couple of stools and trying not to move too far away so that we sound good.
Yeah, we're perched. I feel purged.
I'm sorry, perched or purged?
Perched. Yeah. I don't do the purge. I'm black. Half black. Half of me likes it, half of me doesn't. Okay, guys. So our show is coming from a place, I think, where Chuck and I have been trying to find a platform where we could discuss not only our filmmaking, but try to reach out to every creative that's out there that, is kind of on the verge of wanting to push forward with something, but not feeling they're able to because of the real world. Hence the title of our podcast. So what keeps people thinking inside the box? What can you do to get outside of that and start pushing forward on your dream? Isn't that kind of right? That's a good synopsis of the show, I think.
I think it's a good synopsis of the show for the day, and it's also a good synopsis of what we're just trying to do in general. I mean, here we are, both 9-to-5 guys who are trying to be creative, stay creative. I mean, we've both known each other for 28 years.
Yeah, way too long.
Thanks. I have cherished this time that we have known each other. I wish you felt the same way, but you don't, and it's okay.
No, I cherish a lot of things.
Yeah.
I cherish.
You cherish?
Yeah, I cherish a lot.
Wait. Do you cherish anything that has to do with me? That's what I thought.
No, there's a couple
of
the memories. I cherish the memories we have, Chuck.
The memories of me.
Yeah.
So you don't even cherish the moment that we're sharing. It's just the thinking of what happened in the past. And why do you always giggle when we talk about the past?
I don't know, because there's a lot of funny shit there. But I look forward to the future because then I'll have memories to look back on from those things. You know what I'm saying? That's how it kind of works.
Which brings us back to today.
Yes.
Why a podcast and why we're doing this. Being 9-to-5ers sitting here on a Saturday on the 4th of July. Lord knows when this will actually come out, but it is the 4th of July. It's Saturday, and we're sitting here in my office trying to talk about how to get out of the box. We're in the box. We've got one foot out, and we're trying to finish pulling ourselves out of it. So why did we start?
Well, I can only speak for myself there, honestly. I think I know you well enough, but I don't like talking for you, because I can put words in your mouth.
I do have a big mouth. I can talk for myself.
Yes, you do have a big mouth. Why did we get started? That was your question? Or how did we get started?
You can take it either way.
Okay, well, we like movies, right?
Yes.
Okay, so being movie fans, as for myself, being a young child, it really pulled me into that realm creatively, especially story-wise. So having said that, going out on and trying to make movies didn't start with just making them. It started with me just trying to find a platform to tell the stories that I wanted to tell. So when we started this, or at least when I started it, it was writing. So I wrote a lot, wrote books, wrote short stories, all kinds of stuff, and until we got into the movie thing, which we ended up trying to perform for a long time that didn't do very well, but we learned a lot during that process. And what did we learn? What did we learn, Chuck?
Well, let's see. What did we learn? We learned, in the first few years, we learned a lot of what not to do. Making sure we figure out how the camera works before we actually try and film something, so we can realize that there is an onboard microphone if you just try.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And were we using digital back then, or what were we using?
I don't even remember. I just remember it was like 10 pounds sitting on your shoulder.
Yeah, those DV tapes.
The DV tapes.
Yeah, and then we'd rewind it to look at the footage, and we forget to sometimes not fast forward it, and we'd record over the footage that we filmed. And then when we go to edit the movie, guess what would happen?
Well, I wouldn't know. You were always hiding in your bedroom doing the editing yourself, which I just respected and figured that is what you were doing.
Well, half the time.
And the other half?
Cherishing myself.
Oh, those memories again. Anyway, so...
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Always.
Why we got coffee when we're on a podcast? We could be drinking.
It's Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Well, I've been up for 8 hours. I don't give a crap.
Yeah, no. There's no splash anything in there, but coffee is black, so...
There's editing, so we can always switch to something else, so...
I just think it would be a little more, like, open if we had a little nip or something.
No. If we get more open, then I just get lovey-dovey, which means I'll giggle and say nice stuff and end up crying in the middle of our first podcast, and nobody wants to hear that.
Okay, that kind of lovey-dovey is okay. I thought you meant the other kind of lovey-dovey with me and you just in a room together.
Not
It's kinda
freaky-deaky, lovey-dovey.
So it's freaky-deaky. That's what you call it.
Freaky-deaky.
Who the fuck is this thing? Oh, man. All right, back to the subject. We were talking about filmmaking and what got us into it and stuff and the mistakes we made. So when we were back starting these things, we made a lot of errors, but we knew that we enjoyed making the movies, and we didn't do it for any other reason than to make them, right? And tell those little stories. So
Correct.
as silly as a lot of them were and as terrible as most of them were, there's...
Whoa. Now, wait. I got to cut you off. They weren't terrible. We used our children,
Sure.
mostly yours, to create these movies because at the time, anybody, being in our late 20s and early 30s, walking up to somebody and saying, hey, you want to be in one of our movies, they automatically thought it was not, let's just say they thought it was adult film. Mm-hmm. So it was really hard to get people to convince to come out and play with us in the woods. So we used a lot of children, which, thank goodness you have a lot of children, otherwise that would have looked even worse.
Right, but they're also, they don't look like me very much color-wise, so when the cops would show up and ask what we were doing, I was always put on the spot, which at any moment, one of my kids could have really fucked with us and told the cops they had no idea who I was, which means my black ass is going to jail.
Well, the good thing is most of the time I was there, so all of your white-looking children could have been passed off as being my kids, but
Right.
thank goodness they're not.
And that's another reason why I cherish you so much, by the way. Save my
Okay,
ass
getting
from
out of the box.
Okay. So, again, this is good coffee, by the way.
No, I'm glad you like it.
It's good. All right, so outside the box, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? So, when we want to go outside the box as a creative, you're going to be doing a lot of things that make you feel uncomfortable, but you also have a lot of things that are holding you back, like that day job, and how do you find time to do what you love to do? And, you know what I was reading? The thing I did learn was that flow state. Remember that? I was telling you about that. Did I tell you about flow state?
No.
You don't know what that is? I'm a moron, so you got to deal with me here because I can't remember where this... It's a psychological theory that someone had written. Positive psychology, I think it was from. And I can't remember the guy's name, but it doesn't matter because people can look it up if they want. But I do know it's called flow state. You got your phone. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. This is real life. We're fine.
It might be a cherishable moment here. Hang on.
Oh, God, he's on his phone. Anyway, let me tell you guys about flow state. So flow state is an area in which a person is... What did they say? Basically giving you just enough challenge and just as much fun where time passes swiftly and you're completely engaged in it in every way, shape, and form mentally. So, for example, when I'm sitting down editing a film, time goes by like that. You know what I mean? Done deal. Love it. Doesn't feel like work because it's challenging and it's also a lot of fun, right?
Sure.
So I'm in my zone. The flow state. So if you look at it like on a graph, and I know we're not on video here, but you stay inside this flow state, you're going to be the happiest and content as you can be as a person, okay, with whatever you do. If you're below the flow state, you're going to be in a kind of a depressed, bored state, okay, where it's not challenging enough for you, which makes you disengaged, which makes time do what? Go slower. So when you're sitting at work and you're sitting there wanting to shoot yourself, because that clock is not moving, you're not in a flow state. Okay?
Gotcha.
Now, if you're on top of the flow state, you're in an anxiety state, which means it's overwhelming to you. It's very stressful. Maybe the workplace is hostile. You don't like who you fucking work with. And you can't wait to get out of that place. But guess what happens? Time goes slow. Because now you're focused on that as well. So it's an anxiety level and a boredom level. If you can find the middle there, you're good. Flow state. Isn't that interesting?
Interesting.
It's positive stuff.
And you can't remember who said it, where you read it, or anything on that?
No, I read it online.
Okay, so you realize if somebody punches like flow state into Google, they're going to end up finding out like floodplains and all kinds of weird, geological crap.
No, I'm pretty sure it pops up first on Google.
Really?
Yeah. Not like our movie. If you put in the Outrider. Actually, no, the Outrider comes up right away now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess I clicked on it enough times.
Yeah, I think I did too.
You have to self-promote and self-service your movies.
Yeah.
That sounded really wrong.
No, it's fine. Remember, keep when you're talking, because if you go like this, it's going to sound
A little off.
That's okay though. We're still learning. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing. Maybe that can help creatives. But anyway, that's the whole point. You want to find a flow state.
Right. So the other question is how, unless you have a financial backer or somebody who can get you going and do stuff automatically, you're going to have to keep your day job to get your creative state. So how have you been able to mix the two together? Not only to stay passionate about what you're writing, but also doing the day job stuff enough to where, because you need that, because in the world that we live in, we have to survive.
Right.
We have to have money to survive, and nobody's going to pay us for our stuff yet. We're doing our stuff so that we can get a name out there so people can see what we're doing and eventually like it and decide they're going to pay us for it. How do you get through... How do you stay passionate about what you're creating even though you do have those moments where you're at the day job and it's just grinding?
That's the easy part, because the excitement I have for what we're trying to accomplish takes me away from my day job anyway. So if I'm sitting there at my office, I'm looking for a flow state. That's where I go. And all of a sudden, I'm not looking at the clock. Now, am I disengaged from my day-to-day job? Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing there because I don't care. It's for the money. There's not a passion for me there. So the challenge is actually staying engaged at the day-to-day job as opposed to trying to find a way to focus on the dream. The dream's easy. The work is hard. That's why they call it work. It fucking sucks. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I do. I just focus on the dream and just kind of keep that simmering on that back of the stove, so to speak. That's never going off. I got to try to turn up the flame every morning, and that eye does not work. It's slow. It stinks. The smoke's coming off of it. There's been too much shit cooked on that fucker. It's just terrible. But anyway, that's how I do it. What do you do though? You work a hell of a lot more than I do during the day.
Well, one of the things that one of the spots where I get lucky with doing my day job is I've been a carpenter since I was a kid. So one of the things that my day job is I'm also still a carpenter. I'm also, a project manager and doing all these other things. But the fact when I get to do the carpentry stuff, that kind of still keeps me engaged with my day job. The other thing that's a perk for me personally is that I spend a lot of my time by myself. Sometimes I'm around people, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm, correcting crews or doing things with crews to get them going and what they have to do. But when I'm by myself, I get to be creative. I can think of ideas for these different storylines. I can come up with images in my head that I want to create for, say, like a podcast, artwork, something like that. Which, yes, we're still working on. But
I like the one we have.
Yeah. Which one is it?
Well, by the time this comes up, we'll have it. So.
Exactly. But yeah, even when I was younger, when I was a kid in high school and just getting through the day in classes and stuff, I wasn't always so much a storyteller. When I was a kid, I loved horror movies, so I would sit there and draw like a beautiful flower blossom in the middle of a page.
Okay.
And then I would turn it into someone's actual melting face coming off of their body. And, so I start drawing it and all the girls are like, oh, that's so nice. And then, 20 minutes later, they come back over and they're like, what is that? Where's the flower? And I'm like, this is the flower. See? And I, block out where it was. And they're like, what is wrong with you? And I just look at them and smile and say, nothing. You want to come over after school?
You do realize to this day that's why most women find you creepy, right?
I do realize that, but I am charming and kind.
You are. So is Hannibal Lecter.
No, he just has good manners.
Oh, fuck. Oh, man. Okay, but yeah, when I met you, you were into that stuff, like Fangoria magazine and all those things and all the makeup effects, and that was your kind of forte. You like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I like the things. I liked being scared. We've all lived life and had different things, in our pasts and stuff, but I like the idea of something that could scare me. It made me feel like still connected to reality, because there were lots of things, I did stupid things as kids, as we all do, but always having, being able to catch that one movie that, gave you a scare. I've never been scared reading anything, but, pulling off a good effect in a movie, doing a good jump, perfect, violin screech at the right point in a movie, getting your attention, getting the jump factor. In the 80s and 90s, that was how they did it. Now they can do so much more with CGI and stuff, but I'm still a fan of the old stuff where you had to work to earn it. You couldn't just like create it out of your on your computer. You had to figure out how to do it. Right. Just like the Shining's anniversary had just happened, and they had some behind the scenes stuff, and all that sound that they have in the Shining movie, they actually had on set playing while they're acting. That had to be nerve-wracking.
That's perfect, though. I mean, I didn't know that. That's awesome. And I try to watch as much of that behind the scenes stuff with Kubrick as possible, but I didn't know that. Holy shit.
Yeah, if you watch the one that was just recently came out with Jack Nicholson when he's got his face against the door and Stanley's laying underneath him, actually filming up at him.
Yeah, I saw that one.
There's the shot where they show Shelley Duvall, and it's the behind the scenes stuff, and it's actually her part where she's in the kitchen, and you can hear the music from the movie echoing in the kitchen because it's playing on set.
That's fucking badass. That scared the shit out of me. So they weren't even really acting; they were just playing off of the sounds. Basically, I put them right in the zone.
Well, depending. I mean, think about it. Think of it as you're acting and stuff. If you've been on set for 5 days and you hear that music, it's no longer going to be, it's just going to be annoying. So, they have to pull off the fear factor because they already have that level of anxiety from having to listen to it all the time.
Right. So what is it about fear? Why do people like that stuff so much, you think? I mean, you said it brings you into reality, but why are people prone to move towards like the horror genre in general?
Well, as a movie maker, it's the easiest one to start with just because of the fact that it's anticipated that you're not going to have to worry about getting everything perfect. If you're going to have actors who can pull off the, best, longest scenes of dialogue and stuff, you're not going to be able to do that right away. Nobody's going to want to sit down and do your stuff right away. Nobody knows who you are. So you can grab a group of friends and go make a horror movie, throw a bunch of blood around, practical effects, not have to worry about the CGI, and just do the best you can. So that's one of the best reasons to get started in horror, or even say something like a film noir, or if you can do something in black and white. I mean, you get to like we did with the Outrider, we got to save a whole bunch of stuff on worrying about color contrasts and lighting by doing black and white, because then we just had really cool stark and dark images as opposed to making sure that the lighting was perfect and everybody was wearing the right colors for the day. And
right.
I mean, it's a learning process, and we're both learning as we go. No,
that's true. And I think the horror genre in general is a good one for beginners because the audience doesn't expect the people to live anyway. So they don't get connected to the characters as much as they would be, let's say, in a drama or in a comedy or something of that nature. And that's why I think those horror films do better on a low budget, because most of those actors are not going to be attached to anyway in the first place. They're going to go. So it makes me think about our film, The Outrider. Is that story too big to have non-actors in it? And maybe that's why you see negative reviews for it, because that story kind of pumps more of a bigger and epic feel, you know what I mean, than maybe a slasher film.
Well, I mean, it could be also because we did such a good trailer. I mean, one of the things people commented on, I mean, first of all, disclaimer, reviews are reviews. Everybody has an opinion. Some of them suck. Some of them are nice. Sometimes your family is going to be nicer than what the movie really is. And sometimes somebody is just sitting in their underwear in front of a computer, not doing anything all day and just wanting to blow everybody's crap up. So don't take reviews with a grain of salt.
It doesn't hurt your feelings when somebody says they don't like what you did or rank on it and say that it can be done so much better. That doesn't.
I have moments when I read them that sometimes they affect me, and then when I reread them again later or whenever, I'm a human, so I have moments and throughout the day. Some moments are more emotional, and some moments are more heartless. But but the aspect of the reviews don't really usually get to me. The first time I read a review, if it's like a shock and awe, you know, if it's really bad-mouthing people as the people,
right,
that bothers me just because it's like, you don't know what these people went through. You don't know how hard they worked to try and get where they are. The same thing with making a movie. I mean, you and I hardly ever have a movie that we are like, oh my God, that movie was horrible. I mean, granted, we have a movie that's like, wow, they didn't have very good budgets. They didn't have all these different things. However, the fact that somebody came up with a story, told the story, and got it on screen, we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And we're the same that way.
Absolutely. Yep.
But as far as, you know, what the reviews and everything do, just some people can't take them, and we've seen and heard stories of people who cannot take the reviews and do drastic things because of it.
Sure.
Quit, give up on their dreams, even in their own lives. Right. So that's sad, and a podcast for another day.
Yeah, that's a lot to talk about there. I just find it very interesting that reviews come in, and as I read them, because I read every one of them, and most people would say don't look at the reviews, you shouldn't even do that, but I find it healthy, because I think it keeps you humble, and regardless of whether or not someone gave two shits about the project you worked on and busted your ass on, or if they absolutely loved it, is irrelevant to me. What is in those comments that can make me think about how the audience portrays my project? You know, what if that negative review you get, and even if it's, you know, completely throwing bags of shit at you about what type of fucking person you are, like, yeah, obviously they don't know us, right?
Right.
So you can disengage from that. However, when they say things like, okay, you know, the movie's black and white too, like, okay, well, obviously they didn't know it was black and white, right? Film noir could mean neo-noir, it could mean color, you know, it doesn't have to mean black and white. You know,
sure.
I'm the stupid one for thinking that film noir explains this is fucking black and white, right? So, okay, so they miss that. So, because the artwork is not in black and white.
Right.
So maybe I have to dumb it down, marketing-wise, to certain people. Is that your dog?
Yeah, my dog has come to the door and is curious what we're doing because my wife just came home and my daughter left with her, so now the dog no longer has something to do downstairs.
Oh,
so now she's going to huff at the door, wondering if she can come in and say hello.
Well, the cool thing about podcasts is we're going to keep these as real as possible.
Oh, that sounds good.
So if you need to get up and do that, like if I have to go pee, I'm like, dude, you're going to have to hold the mic and keep it going because I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Just don't take the microphone with you.
No, I won't take the microphone.
Please.
No, because, you know, especially if it was like smell-o-vision or something. Because then if I have to go in there and do something else, the whole audience would be in trouble. Am I talking about taking a poop right now? I just did.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. See how you can segue and go down a rabbit hole?
Rabbit holes are a true thing. That's why we have a piece of paper that has bullet points on there, which we don't really care about and follow. But that's okay.
No, we're doing
we
good.
Have a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's all we need. Yep. Do you need to get the dog?
No, if she starts to scratch the door, we'll adjust at that time and see if she can come sit in here with us and lay down and be fine. But
That's
if she
not
can't,
gonna
then
happen.
she can just go be the female dog that she is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Christian side of me is trying to keep it clean because, you know, we are in the middle of trying to make a faith-based movie also.
Yeah. That's not one of our bullet points, religion. That's for another podcast, okay?
Oh, we won't talk actual religion.
We might.
Of course we will.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so back to the show like we were talking about, though. See, we segued into this stuff, but the creative thing is what we want to do. So we're going to try to have guests on here, too, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we're going to get people in the industry of what we're trying to accomplish, you know, the filmmaking stuff. You know, we'd like to have musicians on our podcast.
Sure.
We'd like to have, you know, anybody who's, if you paint, if you sculpt, if you do anything outside the box that you know, value and enjoy and puts you in that flow state. Saying that again. I think that you'd be happy to be on here and not only promote what you're doing, but also to share, you know, your thoughts and your feedback to help others who are doing what you're doing, you know, and maybe you can say it differently than we're trying to say it to inspire people to do something. Because there's not a lot of inspiration on the planet, especially right now.
Oh, the planet's so negative. I don't even want to go diving into that. But yeah, it's hard to stay creative, and it's hard to productively creative. I guess would be a good way to put it.
Explain that.
Well, it's hard to be productive. I mean, it's hard to get behind an idea of what we want to do. I mean, here we are. Okay, I'm going to segue into our own crap right now for a minute.
Sure.
For CCC Entertainment Group, we're in the middle of trying to do Say Goodbye. We had auditions. Guys, people came in and they did awesome. And we got all excited. And we were getting ready to go. And then this started. And then life happened. And then this went backwards again, this whole COVID-19, whatever everybody else wants to call it. I don't even care. I don't care if you're left wing, right wing. I don't care if you want to blame the Chinese or grandma for why you have to live in the life we're living in right now. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. The point is, let's just try to get back to a way of living that we can all do together and in a group. Because I really want to make a movie. And to make a movie, we have to have more than 3 people in a room at a time.
Right. You know that probably won't work, right? Because that won't work. Because that's logical.
I know.
And right now, this planet and people are illogical. They're not reasonable.
More than a little.
Yeah. They're just not reasonable, unfortunately. It's like we have our creative differences at times, right?
You and me?
Yeah.
Hell no.
No, we do.
No, we don't.
Something you're getting loud.
I'm sorry. Is that too loud? Should I back up from the mic?
A little bit. You're getting animated. Well, I think everybody who works here is going to have creative differences. We're all going to see things differently. For example, you haven't talked about the movie you wrote, Say Goodbye.
Not yet.
No, but you will in this podcast. We're going to make sure we plug that.
Okay.
But, you wrote that screenplay. And when you were challenged to write something to help me out as a writer, to be able to focus on another project and have some time to do it, you wrote in a completely different genre than I expected, right?
True.
I knew you were a horror guy. I'm thinking we're going to have some cool horror shit to do. And then you threw a faith-based love story on me. And I didn't know what to do with that. That's a creative difference. But I respected the story. I liked the story. But I have to push myself to find that story in my head if I'm directing it. And that's the challenge I've had because that genre isn't something that I specifically have just jumped at. If it's sci-fi or horror or action, I'm all over that shit.
Right.
But if someone says, hey, I got this movie and this guy is, having a hard life and he's challenged and all these things happen and he's got to look to God for reassurance and at the end he finds this feeling that inspires others and blah. I'm like, that sounds good. Yeah, okay, I'll watch that after I watch, Van Damme or something.
Van Damme.
You know what I'm saying, though, right? It's just not my thing. So that's the creative difference I'm talking about. So when we get involved in projects like that and you have to have these differences, you got to find a commonality. So like you said, don't look at it like a Christian story. Look at it like a love story.
Right.
That's what I've been trying to do. So in my brain, I shifted from, okay, this is a faith-based film to this is more like a Nicholas Sparks film because I love The Notebook. I love those kind of movies. I'm a girl like that. I like them, okay? But they don't specifically talk about Christian values or the belief in a higher power. Right. It's more or less just focused on the couple in love. Now, there's some instances in those stories that Nicholas Sparks wrote where there's this mystical kind of feel, right?
Sure.
But they don't identify it.
Right.
Which doesn't feel cringy to me. But when we're talking about like the movie you recommended I watched yesterday or the day before, well, you recommended it a while ago. It just took me a couple weeks.
It took about a month and a half.
I had time though because of COVID, so I had a lot of time on my hands to catch up on movies. Anyway, what was it? I Still Believe?
Yes,
that was the movie. Okay, so I Still Believe. Watching that movie, there's a lot of similarities in that to a Nicholas Sparks film. Mm-hmm. Production-wise as well as the love component. So that helped me kind of narrow down, that differences we had because now we have a commonality. Why can't people have commonalities in real life? Why are they focused on the negatives? Why are they focused on the differences?
Because most people won't shut up long enough to listen.
Why can't people listen? That's my problem.
Because they're too busy wanting to talk.
Because they want to be right? They want to force their opinion on something?
I don't know. We're sitting here trying to have a podcast. And actually, this is kind of funny because one of us starts talking, the other one shuts up. Because they still want to be respectful and listen to what the other person is saying. However, and especially things like social media. I mean, oh my gosh. Sitting behind the freaking computer screen and typing away and yelling at somebody is so easy. But if you put any of these people face to face in the same room, yes, put them in the same room without masks on. Let's see how long they last.
Right. Well, there's 2 points there that you're making I think are interesting. One is that people have phone balls.
Yes,
they do.
Thank you. That's a wonderful way of saying it.
That's exactly what it is. The biggest balls on the planet when they can't look you in the eye and say what they got to say.
Right.
Okay. The second one is just social media in general and the aspect that you're trying to communicate through like text messaging. It's more than just the words that you're typing out. in communicating with somebody. That's not a conversation, because eye contact's important, body language is important, tone of voice is important.
Sure.
Right? All these things are communicating. So you're losing all these things. So you could technically be saying something in a completely different way than someone's going to take it, and people get pissed off. And they're not smart enough to really read between the lines or ask more questions so that they understand the point of view the person's trying to say and how they're saying it.
Right.
But they immediately snap to judgment right away. Social media is great. I think we keep going with it. It's awesome. It's going to bring everybody together. I mean, it's
like social media is.
Yeah, think of the irony there, that this all connected us, but it's divisive.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
We have met so many people, both professionally and personally, around the world that we never would have known if it wasn't for social media.
And those are the positive things of it.
And yeah, exactly. But also, I've got friends that I don't want to talk to as much anymore because they're just so negative.
Right. Now, is that on the surface?
No,
or
I
is
will
it
not name names, Aaron. Do not ask me, Mr. Carlson.
We'll talk about it after the show.
I ain't going to talk anymore after the show.
You're already done, huh?
No, I'm not done. I talk all damn day.
As much as I do?
No, you say like 17 things just to ask a question, and the question was, where's the bathroom?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I do that.
But, I came over today, and I had so much coffee, and I really wanted to think about all the things going on, and I tripped over the dog when I was coming up the stairs. So, I came in here, and I wanted to come in here and set up everything with you, but what I really wanted to ask you was, where's the bathroom? Because I really have to pee because I had so much coffee today.
Right.
That's a question from Aaron Carlson.
That's what I do, yeah. You didn't bring up the tire issue I had to come over here this morning.
Well, I didn't want to get into all your personal crap. My point being is just the fact that, instead of just walking up the stairs and going, bathroom, where? Aaron wants to have a dialogue, which is why our movies are so long.
You know what? You can fuck off with the long movie shit. I got a story to tell, goddammit. And maybe that's what I'm talking about. Like, we communicate like via Twitter, and you get 280 characters.
Right.
That's not enough time to get your point across. So what I do is overwrite, because I find that people need to have more information, or they're going to go, oh, that story isn't good. Oh, this doesn't make sense, or this, that. You know what? And you got to come down from that then. I'd rather overwrite than underwrite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always, you can always edit it out.
Yeah, or I can bring it down, you know what I'm saying? And then start to tighten up anything I do with story-wise, with something. Now, it took me a while to realize that there's a lot of shit that I write that we don't need.
Right.
But that's learning. Right? That's learning. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it's okay to overwrite, especially when you're providing everything to the actors. Sometimes you're giving the actors more backstory so they understand their character better.
Sure.
Which is fine. We just have to get to the point to where we, that's why the team is growing. We're adding extra people to everything that we're doing so that we have more eyes on stuff to help us figure out what we do and do not need.
Right.
Going back to the whole aspect of social media and everything. What was the beginning concept of social media before we decided to talk about how bad everybody can get behind it so fast?
You talking in general? What was the beginning? How they started it, or just
how
we started this conversation?
We started the conversation about social media and how the outreach is, how wonderful the outreach has been, being able to go around the world of meeting people.
Right. Yeah, and just the divisiveness that it
Right.
causes being connected to so many people. I mean, there's a way you can communicate and do things that we normally do, reach people all over the world. You know, that's a positive of it, but there's that negative concept when it comes to being able to have phone balls and have that review you can put up there and talk shit about somebody's, effort to do something outside the box, outside the real, around the real. You know what I mean? So that's that negative to it. So how do you take that as an individual? How do you allow yourself to not be affected by the negative comments, but try to get something good out of it? Find a commonality that can help you and your goal to become successful in your project. That's the trick. Because every negative review, I could find something that I could learn from.
True. I mean, no matter what the review is, it's always a form of criticism.
Correct.
The problem is how you ask how. So it's easy for me to disengage from things and from people because I just kind of have a switch from being in customer service and doing the different jobs I've done in my life over the years. So I'm pretty good about being able to flip that switch and turn off from things. If somebody were to attack my family, friends, and that kind of stuff, I get overprotective really quick. So it's different.
So you're that flower that you drew, and then you can turn real ugly.
Of course.
Yeah. Did I mention that you can be creepy when you...
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the creepy guy.
You're not creepy. I'm just kidding. Maybe.
Actually, no.
You all right?
I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. So, all right, good segue then. Say Goodbye. What is that movie about? What are we going to be doing? Tell the audience about our second feature film that we're going to be trying to do once the world opens back up.
Our second feature film, Say Goodbye. As you mentioned earlier, we were in the middle of... Actually, we just started the Outrider. It was right when we finished the con. When was it? You asked the crew and the cast to step up, but it wasn't when we were doing the Outrider, was it?
It might have been it might have been pre-production Outrider.
Was it pre-production Outrider?
I think so.
And you had reached out to people and said, come up, or even not even necessarily to write a screenplay, just to come up with story ideas so that we can work with each other to try and build something from those.
Be efficient with our time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it takes for us when we started doing everything, and a lot of majority of everything is you and I. Behind the camera, behind the scenes, you do most of the editing because only one lap per laptop. As Aaron told me when I snuggled up next to him to see what he was doing.
Still trying.
So the aspect was to get everybody involved to try and come up with some different story ideas. So I actually came up with 3 different story ideas and started going from there. And then I was injured, and I had a lot of back pain and all those different things that was going on. And so I was laying on the floor in my closet at 3 a.m., looking up through the clothes and looking at the attic access, and then realized I was looking beyond that, and forgive me for everybody else. And I had a moment of prayer about getting the back pain to go away. And it was at that moment when I realized how easy it is for people who live in that much pain all the time. My pain went away, so I'm good. I still have flare-ups once in a while, but it's nothing debilitating. But I can see how people who live in pain and anguish and stuff so much, how they can throw everything away and give up.
Right.
And I've seen it personally. I've had lots of family members who have dealt with that themselves and all the things that they've gone through. So I came up with the story idea for Say Goodbye, which is just basically... Should we plug the storyline?
Absolutely. Yeah, do it.
It's basically just about a man who is dying of cancer, and he has had cancer before, and it is untreatable. And everybody wants to do as much as they can to prolong his life, to stay as long as he can, and he has a revelation that he wants to simply just live in peace and enjoy the rest of the time that he has. Okay. And I have known people who just, that's all they wanted. I mean, sure, they hope and pray for a cure, but the bottom line is they just want to be at peace. So the whole aspect behind Say Goodbye is a dinner party, to have all his friends and family come over who matter the most to him, so he could tell them one last time exactly what he thinks of them. And of course, when you label that on a movie, the segue is the sarcastic people automatically think that he's really going to tell them what he thinks of them. But
right.
As you said, this is more of a love story style movie, and just one of acceptance.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, we just had this conversation just the beginning of this last week, as far as your struggles that you had getting behind the idea of a faith-based film.
Sure.
And me just being the Christian that I am, I have my own struggles with being a Christian and how to be a good Christian in the society we live in right now. I still have my struggles. I still swear. I still have a temper. I mean, nobody's perfect. It's that simple.
Right.
But once we actually had that conversation, I was explaining to you, it's like, okay, let's just imagine this. We are creating a faith-based film that we are putting out to, say, PureFlix, if we get a distributor who picks us up to put us out on that platform.
Sure.
But we're also creating just a love story to put on Netflix, Amazon, and everything else. Mm-hmm. And that was your click. That made everything go perfect for you. It's like, oh, that makes sense now.
Right.
Why the hell didn't you tell me that 6 months ago?
Right.
And it just took that much time for us to figure it out. I mean, originally, I'm sitting here looking at going, okay, I created a Christian faith-based film because there is prayer in it. There's thoughts of, God and everything else that goes around with it. But at the same time, if you break down the rest of the story around the film, it's not like some of these other faith-based films where, they're in school to follow Christianity. They're, they're thumping the Bible at you in the movie because, everybody who's got their hands up praying to God, of course they're going to jump on the same bandwagon and think it's cool. But we want to create a movie that's not as cheesy as some of the other faith-based films. We want something that's more real,
Right.
like all of us are, as both Christians and regular human beings. So
right. And you did. I think you did that when you wrote it. I mean, when you read that story, it's not. Well, I'm not going to spoil or anything, but there is definitely a more realistic feel to what you wrote, and that's what is the highlight for me in that type of genre. You know what I mean? So I can live with that. It's still just getting around the Christianity portion because I don't know, where I'm at with any of that stuff. I always question those things. I'm not an idealist. I can easily be swayed if someone makes sense to me.
Sure.
I'm not stuck on one idea, which is why I like directing and collaborating. I do. I'm not stuck on one idea. But that goes with everything, but it's got to make sense.
Sure.
And I have a hard time just grasping the concept of a higher power sometimes, and because what if that's not really there, and I don't see it, and I get the faith thing, I get all that, and I understand it, and I can't help the way my brain works to go, yeah, but that's what people say when they can't prove anything. You know what I mean? I have faith that this guy murdered that woman. All right, he's going to jail. That's not going to work.
That's not
you
faith. You have
proof.
a thought.
Yeah.
You think that guy is.
But it's kind of self-interest to me, and that's where I have a hard time. And I love fiction. So why is it so hard for me to believe it?
Well, here's another. I mean, there's two parts of the Bible, right? You have the holier than thou, God is all, and the
that's
hell
the
and
old,
damnation
that's the
and all
old
that
one.
kind of good stuff. The Old Testament.
Yeah, Old Testament is a good one.
Or the New Testament.
Yeah, Jesus was a bad motherfucker.
I mean,
he didn't mess with art. God, he was. Yeah, because Jesus is in this part 2.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus is part 2.
Yeah.
It's like the Empire Strikes Back of
Yeah. Yeah.
the Bible.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's the one that I focus on because I don't know if everyone's right, if no one's wrong. I have no idea. However, what's wrong with living a life of love and living the best person you could possibly be, not just for yourself, not for your family, but for anybody you encounter?
Right.
And if you are freaking wrong, who cares?
Right.
If you die and you rot in the ground,
Right.
you still lived an awesome life and you were a good person. What's
Absolutely.
wrong with just living that way?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That's what I'm drawn towards.
Do you know what's funny that I just realized?
What?
With the Old Testament and New Testament, the way you just portrayed it?
Yeah.
Why does the Old Testament feel like conservatives and the New Testament more like liberals? Don't you see that the love thing is like the liberal way, PC, and the old school way was like hardcore, don't fuck around, you do what I say or I'm going to fuck you up. You know what I mean?
Well,
Isn't that weird?
And here's another good point to that, because if we are all love and everything else, and if the New Testament is the democratic way and the conservative is the traditional and rules and regulations, why did we throw God out of school?
Why did we?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you why. Because the school is teaching you facts. There's facts that they have to teach you that actually make sense.
The books are written by those who won the wars.
I'm talking about math. I'm talking about science.
Science is all relative to what we know right now.
Yeah, but you can
10 years
prove it.
from now, we might be able to change science.
Yes, but you can prove these things in our physical state. You
Okay.
know, that's the difference. I think when we're teaching at school, it's more or less about showing people how to solve an equation and how to gain knowledge to have answers to things of where we used to be and where we are today. Now, the Bible can do the same thing without proof, though. You have to read a story. So I could technically say, if I sat down and read one of George Lucas's scripts and go, wow, that happened back then, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and I believe that shit, to think it was actually real. Why did my mic all switch on me? Hang on. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. I think I moved too much. It's our mics. It's okay. You explained all that. You made a good effort in the beginning of the show to tell the equipment we have here.
Sure.
Yeah, we're doing good. Anyway, I lost my point of view. But anyway, I think that's different. And not taking away from Christianity at all. I totally respect that stuff.
But remember,
totally do.
The whole idea about going to schooling is not just the knowledge that the kids learn from going to school. That's the whole thing about, homeschooling is not always the best thing, because the whole aspect of going to school is not just the knowledge that you get from the education that you have, but also the social interactions. And God knows we all needed a better immune system. I mean, George Carlin said it best. He says, I won't die because, I swim in the Hudson River to stay cool when it was so polluted back in the frickin' 60s.
He was tempered in liquid shit.
Thank you. That was the line. I could not remember. I just heard that earlier this week again, and I laughed.
It's
I
hilarious.
laughed.
Yeah, great guy.
But that's the same thing. I mean,
Yeah. I agree with that.
I don't get sick very often.
Yeah.
I've been surrounded by children and homeless people and anything and everything, my whole life.
Right.
So yeah, if something gets me, then it's got me.
Right.
But until then, I have children who, unfortunately, and I don't homeschool my kids, but if they get sick every time the newest thing comes around the corner.
Right.
It comes into the house.
Right.
And then, my wife won't kiss me and hug me because she's afraid we'll all share it. It's like, well, the kid over there has it. I don't have it. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. What?
I still cherish you, Chuck.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah. Not just the memory of you, but, anything we have in the future.
Speaking of cherishing the memory of me, how are you doing in preparing for your new role in Say Goodbye?
I can't really go into too many details because it give away a lot of the story. And since we are trying to keep this, a nice story for everybody to love, I don't want to get into too much. But however, I do think that it has helped me identify why you chose me for the part and what you're looking for now. And I struggled with it because I was thinking that I had to be a certain way in this type of movie. And now I realize that you just wrote that for me to be me, just on a lower level. Like, I can't say fuck, shit, piss, motherfucker, cocksucker, tits. I can't say any of that stuff.
Correct.
Right, yeah. I can't say that stuff. George Carlin, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. However, what I did learn is that being me in this role will be challenging to try to still be myself and yet do it in a way that helps your story. And because the story it's reflective of who we are as people, you and I. That's what makes it real.
Correct. But
it's still in a concept like I have to put myself in this world where, let's say, this person that the character that I'm going to be playing is friends with someone who's going through some things, and I'm going to have to tie that in a fictional way because that person isn't really going through that in real life. Sure. So mixing reality with the fiction is the challenging and fun part. But that's be creative. That's the fun part. But it's just a process. I really think about it. I thought it'd be easy, and then I'd start saying lines to myself, and I'm like, I suck. I can't do this. I don't understand who I am.
Yeah, I love the fact when you and Sam, who are playing husband and wife in the movie, when you guys realize, like, this is like the PG-13 version of Us.
Correct. Yeah. And I like
that's not fair. This sucks.
Yeah, I like the rated R version. It's just gangster. I love it.
Just don't get deeper than that, please.
No, it's fine. I don't. There's not. We're getting too old. We don't do. It'd be NC-17. That's as far as we go now.
And how we go with our conversations, even on the podcast today, is the same. Podcast.
Yeah,
whatever works.
It works.
Is the same thing. I mean, the whole idea of that character is, that character is still, no matter how long he's known this person, it is still that shadow of doubt, the constant question, and that's
Correct.
exactly who that character is.
It's exactly who I am.
Right.
Which is why I was talking about Christianity and not understanding it.
And why he always talks and always has more questions.
Yeah, like going pee. Where's the bathroom? But I have a million questions before that.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm a questioner. I have to ask questions.
What's your next question?
Why don't you have any questions?
I've been asking most of the questions, Aaron.
Bullshit, I've asked a ton of questions.
You just asked the last questions in the last 10 minutes.
When we go back and listen to this, you'll see how many questions. You'll be like, holy shit, he said a lot of stuff. But, man, there's a lot of questions in there. He's right. He's absolutely right. I'll be like, yeah, I'm fucking great. I know. I ask questions all the time.
Hashtag faith-based.
Faith-based.
That was still one of my favorites. Man, I love this shit. Hashtag faith-based.
It's making movies, man. I do love it. I'm not going to lie.
That's where social media can catch you sometimes because you can't take that one back.
Hey, the Heavenly Father loves honesty.
That is true.
That's right. Do you think there's any liquor at the bottom of this coffee? Because I'm getting close.
Any liquor at the bottom of it?
Correct.
Only if you can get your tongue down there and there's a girl down there, and then there's some liquor down there. But other than that,
okay, that flower.
Yeah.
That we were talking about with the creepiness.
Yeah.
Again, those comments like that trigger people to go, "What the fuck did he just say?"
I know.
Okay, just make sure.
It's not that I'm not creepy. It's just that it's not always intentional.
I understand that too.
Okay.
Are we running out of topics today? This is our first show, so I think it went pretty good.
It has been pretty good.
Yeah.
What are you looking to most get out of this by doing a podcast?
Well, there's a few things. Yeah, I don't know if one overweighs the other, but I'm thinking that us doing this not only helps us learn more about what we're trying to accomplish, but it gives us opportunity to get other people on here, and we can learn from them as well. And not only do that, but they can help themselves by hopefully sharing that information with an audience if we can grow one, which hopefully we can, So those are my two biggest things. I definitely want people to have a platform that they can come on and share their creative works, and an open forum for anybody if we talk about projects that people are doing or world events or things of that nature. I don't want anybody to come on here and feel like they can't say what they really feel. So
Sure.
If we get someone who's in the Ku Klux Klan that comes on this show, I'm down.
Talk about a day of questions.
No, I'd have a lot of questions. I'd be like, how come you can wear that mask, but you can't put on a mask with COVID? You know what I'm saying? Why can't you can breathe? Did I get better ventilation than that thing? Or
I just want to see him wear it to Costco.
Do they? I don't go to Costco. I don't have a membership, so I don't have a big enough freezer.
I've thought about wearing some of my.
You might want to back off the mic a little bit. Yeah,
I've thought about wearing some of my creepy masks to Costco just to have fun with it. But one of the there was some kid going through Costco the other day who was wearing one of those big dinosaur floppy things.
Okay,
and they let him in.
Yeah, but they can get away with that.
Yeah,
that's cute. You doing it? It's not cute.
Well, I'm just going back to the Ku Klux Klan thing. Because technically it's just a sheet.
It is.
It's a cloth mask.
Correct. That's the point. But what's the meaning behind it, I guess? So I guess the mask that we wear during COVID, there's a meaning to it. And that's what people have a problem with. It's not necessarily the mask. It's why they're wearing it. People are motivated by something. So their motivation not to wear it is because someone's telling them to, and they don't want to be controlled by some, left-wing government that's going to dictate that now if I wear a mask, then they're going to make me not be able to have my guns, and then they're going to make me not be able to do this and blah, 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 blah.
Don't even say left wing. Just say, people don't want to be told this is what you have to do, and you don't get to choose on it right now. But that's the biggest thing. It doesn't matter if it's left or right. It's just the whole idea that nobody wants to listen to somebody telling them what they have to do.
Okay. I had this conversation on Facebook since I've been experimenting because I knew we were going to do podcasts, right?
Right.
So I've been putting up obscure posts to get people talking. And I'm using humor and I'm using sarcasm to strike conversation. All that was on purpose.
Which, by the way, sometimes the sarcasm doesn't come through when you read it.
That's what I'm saying. So, but it still connects us and still starts a dialogue. But see, I can still take the time to write out my thoughts if somebody is thinking I'm being a dick or I'm being an asshole.
Sure.
Not one person has done that because I've made it very clear that I'm trying to support everybody to have a platform to talk on, right?
Right.
So I brought up the comparison between women's ability to choose and have a right to their bodies.
Right.
And how certain people out there don't believe that should be the case because they have their religious beliefs and they believe abortion is not the answer. Okay? Is that a sense of control then? If we make laws against abortion, doesn't that stop a woman to have the freedom to choose? Absolutely.
Right.
So in retrospect then, if you've got government telling you to wear a mask for safety and you're bitching about them trying to take away your rights, doesn't that kind of put you in a hypocritical moment? Because in one aspect you're saying you can't take away my rights, but you're trying to take a woman's way from making a choice. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
And I want somebody to explain that.
But that's all just going back if you want to keep it political, though. If you don't keep it political, it just goes down to the idea, the whole aspect of somebody doesn't want to be told what to do.
If it
by
suits.
somebody, basically, if somebody's telling somebody what to do and they're not paying them, so if it's not their boss telling what to do and they're like, I'll
Sure.
do this, but you're only because you're paying me.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if it's somebody in government and all these people who we pay to be where they're supposed to be at, is the fact that one person is telling somebody what to do and everybody else is like, screw you, I don't want to do it.
But if it supports their narrative, then they're more reasonable to accept the command.
True, but at the same time, it's like how much of the narrative do they support, or are they just stuck? Like you said, I'm not right, I'm not harsh right, I'm not harsh left.
Sure.
I've floated the middle a lot.
Right.
When I first started my companies, I love the tax breaks I got for being, with a Republican in the office.
Sure.
And when my kids got to their teenage years, I was like, oh God, thank God we have better healthcare right now.
Right.
So
Right.
I kind of slowed down the middle.
Because Republicans and Democrats, all of them can have good ideas.
Exactly.
And it's stupid to think they can't.
Right.
Yeah. What's wrong with people? Why are they letting that line block them?
They get stuck on that one side, and they don't realize that they can actually
collaborate.
They can actually get in the middle,
Yeah.
and flow.
Yeah.
Find that
Flow
flow
state.
Yeah, flow state.
Flow state. Collaborate. Listen. Don't be an idealist. You know?
Right.
Keep an open mind. That's it. Anyway, we got more podcasts to come.
Yeah, and apparently we have a lot to talk about.
We have a ton to talk about. And we got a lot of people we can talk to. So it's going to be fun.
Okay, I'm going to call Sarah. You call Bill. Who else?
Who the fuck is Bill?
I don't know. He's your friend, not mine.
I don't know anybody named Bill. No, I got Bill. I think he's on Facebook. I'll make a post about it. What am I supposed to ask him?
If he wants to come on our show. And if he has an extra microphone.
Yeah, we need some new mics. But anyway. All right, man. How'd we do? Good? You happy? Content?
I think we're good.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm happy, but I definitely killed part of a Saturday.
That's okay. It was fun.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to the podcast today. We'll be back with another episode probably pretty soon.
Probably. Thanks for joining us Around the Reel.
Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the show. Hey, if you'd like to be a guest on Around the Reel, please reach out to us at our website. That's www.cccentertainmentgroup.com. There you can send us a message, and if you're an artist or creative or just want to get on the show and start talking about a bunch of shit like we do, please reach out to us and let us know. We'd love to have you. And if you also need other realms to find us in this wonderful Silicon Valley of what we call social media. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find us all there. And we have a page on YouTube that we're just getting started as well. And also, if you do want to watch our feature film, you can find that on Amazon Prime right now. That movie is called The Outrider. It's our first major feature film that we did. We have a bunch more coming, but please watch that one. Let us know what you think. And anyway, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. We got more shorts coming for you, so talk to you soon.